Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of The Bearded Gamer Show. Now as always, I'm your host, The Bearded Gamer, obviously, Chris Arnone. I'm going to start off talking about a giveaway I've been running for the Razer Taipan gaming mouse. Awesome thing. I did a review video of it. It was really cool. Got a lot of great comments. And of course, part of that was I was doing a giveaway. You comment, subscribe. I hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to give this thing away. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys just blew me away. You guys led the charge. I was sitting at about, 550 subscribers when I started this thing, and as of right now, I'm sitting right around 1,200 when I'm filming this. You guys just plowed on forward and got me a ton of new subscriptions, great comments. I love the comments. And so, since I hit the target, I went to Wolfram Alpha. I looked at the number of comments I had on my video, used Wolfram Alpha to get a random integer, and picked a winner for that Razer Taipan gaming mouse. And that winner is DreadFun1K. I think it's probably trying to say Dreadfunk with a 1 in it. That's a DreadFun1K. You are the winner of that Razer Taipan ambidextrous esports gaming mouse. So I will be getting in contact with you shortly through YouTube's messaging system, getting your address and sending that your way. But wait, there's more. All right, Razer recently sent me another mouse. This time it's the 2012 version of their Naga MMO mouse. So later this week, I'm going to be doing a review of that mouse. And once again, guess what? A giveaway. This time we're shooting for 2,000 subscribers. Hit 2,000 subscribers, throw some comments down in that video later on this week, and one of you could win another $80 awesome mouse from Razer. Once again, have the full review later in the week. Check that out. I'll be sure to come back and put the link right here-ish, somewhere in there, over here. Yeah. And so that way you can just click straight over to it, throw down some comments, subscriptions, and somebody's going to win that awesome mouse too. But for now, into good news, bad news. So some good news. Battlefield 4 was inadvertently announced just today. In fact, when I'm filming on a Tuesday, okay? So this little screen came out talking about Medal of Honor Warfighter. It said if you buy Medal of Honor Warfighter, you get beta access to Battlefield 4. And everyone went, wait, Battlefield 4? Whoops. But EA did not backpedal. In fact, instead, they just came out with a press release confirming that, yes, Battlefield 4 is on its way for fall 2013 next year, which, shocking, I know, right? A big first-person shooter that sold really well is going to get a sequel? Say it ain't so, it can't be. No. So yeah, new Battlefield coming for those of you who have been patiently waiting for that one. Some bad news. Now, there was kind of a hoax that was going on at Comic-Con. There was this logo that came out for Metal Gear Solid 5, and different sites were saying, oh, it's been announced, it's been talked about. No, someone was just yanking our proverbial chain on that one. The logo is a hoax. The whole thing was a hoax. Somebody made it up just to get us all going. Konami said, no, they're not working on it. So at this point, no game, no announcement. I mean, there may not even be another game. It really depends on what Kojima has left in the tank for Snake, or a clone of Snake, or Snake's son. I mean, it's Metal Gear. It's so weird and confusing. He could do anything, really. Just call it Snake, give it a mullet, and let it go. But anyway, not yet. We just have Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which looks pretty sweet, on its way. Some good news, however. Origin, this is EA's digital distribution platform, has upgraded to version 9.0 with some improvements like in-game clock, decoupled friends list, and more. But one, since it's Electronic Arts, and two, since Steam is running its summer sale, no one cares or notices. Honestly, just straight up news. Okay, now, this is a case of not really news about video games, but news about video game journalism. One of these things that just irks me sometimes. This is taking a quote and taking it out of context and really screwing the whole thing up. There's a lot of game sites that have been announcing that Pachter is saying that Activision kind of threatened Nintendo to say, you've got to make a pro controller for that Wii U or you won't get Call of Duty. They're all saying that. If you actually read what he said and read the quotes, that's not what he said. He actually says he did not talk to Activision. He has no knowledge of that actual altercation taking place. What he's really saying is games like Call of Duty won't come to the Wii U, by his estimation, without a pro controller. A controller with 4 shoulders, 4 face buttons, 2 sticks, and a D-pad. Duh. I said this when the Wii U was announced. I mean, I was literally at the Nintendo press conference at E3 last year, live streaming, and I said it's going to have a standard controller if it wants to get all these games like Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed and all the other things it was showing in its little sort of reel of core games. Duh. But it's just frustrating that people are totally taking this quote out of context. To his knowledge, at least, there was no such altercation between Activision and Nintendo. It's just a case of, yes, obviously, if they want to get the core gamers to come over and play the Wii U, they've got to give them a core controller, a standard controller to play those other games. So, finish up with some good news, all right? Do you live in the UK? Sorry. Are you a gamer? Can you not get laid? Well, there's a website for you now. It's called shagagamer.com. That's right. It's kind of like Adult Friend Finder for the UK for gamers. But this really confuses me because, I mean, if you're just looking for a no-strings attached sexual encounter, why do you care if they're a gamer? Is it pillow talk? I mean, really, common interest is something you look for in a relationship, not in a one-night stand fling kind of thing. I mean, maybe if you're both into bondage using, I don't know, like controller cables or something. I mean, but everything's gone wireless now. You'd have to like use your retro stuff, and that would kind of be an interesting use of your retro systems. So, for this controller confessional, now that I've gotten away from that news story, whew, it's hot in here, just that story. Anyway, there's two different pieces of news that are sort of colliding and made my brain kind of do all these little Nova things, okay? So the first one is that the Steam mobile app has started showing genres of things that are not games, which kind of is saying that there might be a chance for Steam to become a digital distribution platform for software in general, for apps, to sort of become like the App Store, what Apple has, but for Windows. Okay, but here's the other piece of news, okay? Because you're saying, well, that's not directly related to gaming. I'll get there. Give me a second. Which is that Steam is finally launching on Linux, and they're going to kick it off with Left 4 Dead 2, which is, I mean, that's just awesome. It's a great game. It's an older game, but it should also be pretty cheap, and it's a great way for Linux players to get Steam and get going with it. It'll be awesome. But here's where they start to collide in my brain, because I really start to think about the point of entry for Linux. See, Linux is so hard to get into. It's very much geared toward the power user. It's open source. You don't have like a lot of people helping you, to do things right and to make sure that things are okay. You don't have nearly the amount of security patches and things you have rolling out for things like Windows. It's all just done by the community for the most part. And there are some companies that have sort of sprouted up around Linux for some support. But really, it's still very open source and very hard. And what the App Store does for Apples, it allows the layperson to find any piece of software they're looking for and know that it's safe. People like to complain about sort of the control that Apple has and how, they control everything that goes in their App Store. But the thing is, you can download anything off that App Store and be fully confident it will work perfectly with your computer. It's not going to cause any issues. And I mean, 99.99% of the time. Obviously, there are always exceptions. But that's not the case with things like Windows or Linux. You kind of have to know what you're looking for. I'm kind of a power user. I can go out and look on the internet for programs that fit the bill for what I'm looking for on Windows and do the research to make sure that they're safe, that they're not, spyware or malware or things like that. And Linux is even a step further than that. It's the availability of stuff is less, that security is less. So what do? Well, the idea of Steam coming to Linux just opens up all these doors. It suddenly takes those barriers of entry away. What if you have Steam? What if you have those security protocols through Steam, making sure that whatever software you need, whatever app you need, that all these different software and app developers and game developers for Linux can put all of their stuff in one common location. One thing that's easy to browse, easy to look through, easy to download and install. It could be absolutely huge for Linux. And where it gets directly into gaming, I really have to wonder, if all of your games worked on Linux, and of course you used Steam, and everything worked great, would you switch? I mean, a lot of people are kind of stuck on Windows. If you're a gamer, that's kind of what you have to use. But if Linux starts getting bigger and starts using Steam to get all of the software and games out there, would you make the switch over to Linux? I'm curious to see what you all have to say, so throw that down in the comments. especially if you're already someone who's using Linux and maybe can talk about the difficulties of being a gamer and liking to use Linux. Love to hear from you. So throw that stuff down in the comments. I'll try to highlight some of those best answers on one of next week's shows. So I'm going to finish off this video with something you're not going to see it coming. I'm going to totally shock you all and blow you all away. The pull list. Now, I know I said I was kind of getting away from comics, doing my Dota 2 thing, but I would be remiss. I would be a failure as a nerd. And as the king of nerds, I'm your king. You may not know it yet, but that's how it is. Let's just move on. Anyway, I would be a failure if I left this out, if I didn't mention this in my videos. Now, San Diego Comic-Con has come and gone, and one particular announcement in all this hullabaloo about the sort of epicenter of pop culture with movies and TV and video games and comics. Yeah, I know it's so-called Comic-Con, but that's really the smallest industry there. Neil Gaiman is coming back to Sandman. Right? My brain was squeeing out of my ears for hours after I heard about this particular announcement. Now, Sandman was absolutely massive. Ran from 89 to 96, and there's like 10 volumes of trade paperbacks, plus some death stories. You can go get the absolute versions if you choose. It is a must-read. I mean, one of his stories even won a Nebula, which quickly prompted the Science Fiction Writers Association to disqualify comics from winning the Nebula ever again, because, they sort of look down upon the genre. But that's how good this series was. It's phenomenal. It's sublime. He's coming back. Okay, now here's a quote directly from Neil Gaiman when he's talking about the announcement. He said, "When I finished writing The Sandman, there was one tale still untold. The story of what happened to Morpheus to allow him to be so easily captured in The Sandman #1, and why he was returned from far away, exhausted beyond imagining, and dressed for war." Now just imagine that in a nice British accent with a lot of hair, wearing all black, okay? And no beard. Yeah, that does make me a little sad. But otherwise, Gaiman's awesome. So this is the idea, is they're going to tell a prequel story. But check this out. I get even more excited about this. Guess who he's bringing along to do artwork? J.H. Williams. Now, this guy is phenomenal. His work on Batwoman and Prometheus, I mean, there wouldn't even have to be a story. His artwork is so good. He's a master of layout and creative layouts, and just every page you're going to stare at it for a few minutes before you realize, wait, there was a story. What was happening? I don't remember. I got to flip back. I was just so engrossed by his artwork. He's got to be my absolute favorite comic book artist currently working in the industry, teaming up to bring Sandman back with Neil Gaiman at the helm to tell a prequel story, to say what happened to Morpheus in the events leading up to Sandman #1 back in 1989 when that came out. It's just, yes, I just get the nerdy warm fuzzies all over the place. But so, November 2013, coinciding with the 25th anniversary of Vertigo Comics, we will see the return of Sandman and Neil Gaiman. Oh, your mind is blown. It's okay. No more content for this video. We'll see you guys next time.